Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. It's no secret that my personal perspective is that the idea of XRP hitting new all-time highs and entering price discovery is an inevitability. And fine, I don't technically, literally mean there's 0% chance. I don't feel there's 0% chance about many things. But my gosh, I feel as close to 100% in terms of personal confidence on this topic for a number of what I perceive to be very rational reasons having to do with, well, there's certainly XRP fundamentals, but then there's broader markets, just in general, whether you're talking about stocks or crypto. And so there's this idea of an inevitable upside rampage. And that term, upside rampage, comes from Raoul Paul. Now, Raoul Paul is a former Goldman Sachs exec, and he does happen to be pro XRP. He's one of the guys out there who, despite being a bit heavier on certainly ETH, and he's very pro Bitcoin. I'm pro Bitcoin too, though. He's pro XRP, and he took a lot of flack a couple years back when he started investigating XRP on his own from people in the Bitcoin community that thought it was basically heresy, some sort of sacrilegious activity to even consider looking into the XRP ecosystem, even just to learn about it. But he said, "I'll not be told what to do," and he researched. And he thought it made sense, and he's also making a bet that many of us are making, which is that XRP is going to persist through this SEC v. Ripple lawsuit, come up better on the other side of this. And he thinks that, he said roughly around when XRP is about $1, that he was expecting a tenfold increase in there. I've not seen him change his perspective on that. So even though the market went down further, bringing XRP along with it in terms of price, having XRP at this price just makes it that much more appealing from my perspective. So I want to share with you what he had to say. Oh, and also, Charlie Munger, who recently turned 99 years old, multi-billionaire. He's warning all us young whippersnappers out here that crypto's going to zero. It's all going to zero, folks. It's been a thing that's existed for 14 years, keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and real businesses use it. There's business models that exist that otherwise couldn't exist, and people value the attributes that crypto in general brings, but he's warning us that it's all gonna crumble down. Well, thank you, 99-year-old Charlie Munger, for showing me the way. I guess I just stop researching. I'll just shut down my YouTube channel. Thank you. You're saving me so much time and money, Charlie Munger. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I'm not offering financial advice. You definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. As I record this, XRP is at 41 cents. Bitcoin at $23,639. Market cap for the asset class just a hair shy of 1.1 trillion, and Bitcoin dominance at 41.5%. And we have the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, and I do love reporting on this because I don't want the poor little lovable cuddly lemmings out there, little retail speculators. I don't want them in fear. I don't want them having trouble sleeping at night. And today I sleep easier knowing that they're sleeping easier because they're in greed. Those little sons of bitches feeling greedy today at 60 out of 100 on the Crypto Fear and Greed Index, same as yesterday. Oh, I also want to report on this. Now, this is the biggest news of the video. I should have mentioned this at the outset. Just yesterday, February 1st, Ripple unlocked 1 billion XRP from escrow. Can you believe that? They unlocked, oh my God, I've never heard anything like this, except for every single month for over half a decade. How is this making headlines here? How is this a story? I mean, I laugh at it every month, but I'm just like, oh, okay. The most interesting article you could possibly write. You know what I need to start doing? Just to make fun of this stuff, because crypto media continues to write like headlines about this. It's not just a mention in an article. It's like, it's a full-on headline. I need to start making individual videos about this. They'll last about 60 seconds. It'll be me saying hello. I'll do a quick intro. I'll do my little intro spiel. And then I'll say, hey, Ripple unlocked 1 billion. And then I'll do my outro spiel. And that's it. Like 1 minute. We're done. In and out, man. That'll be good. If you ever see a 60-second video from me, it might be this. It might be this. How stupid. Whatever. Here's what it is, man. All right. So if you were following what was happening in terms of price action in crypto and just finance in general yesterday, you're aware of what happened with the Fed rate hike. It did what the market was expecting, which is why we saw markets ultimately rally. There was an increase in the federal funds rate, but it was in line with what was expected. It was 25 basis points, which just means 0.25%. And, had it been 0.5%, I don't know, in theory, people could have acted less favorably because it wasn't then continuing heading the rest, in the lower direction. Because, mind you, in December, there was an increase then too, but it was 50 basis points, 0.5%. So seeing it continue to go in the right direction, closer to the point where we're at zero, which is what markets really want, that was a good sign. And so markets did rally. That's not actually particularly surprising. But Raoul Paul shared some perspective and was talking about in terms of what crypto markets did several years ago, because obviously, historically, we've had 4-year cycles here. What happened? How did crypto markets and legacy finance even respond to what the Fed was doing in the past? And this is an interesting topic, and it paints a pretty good picture just in terms of how humans respond to what the Fed does, even though it's ridiculous. We shouldn't be in a position where markets hinge on what the Fed says and does. We are in that position globally, as stupid as that is. So I'm just rolling with it, whatever. I don't get, them's the breaks. I don't get to choose that. But since that is the case, it's worth being aware of how the humans respond, so you can be aware of what might be reasonable to anticipate here. And inevitably, I understand why he said it. He talked about how there was previously an upside rampage, and that's why in the future, do you not think this is going to happen when we reach a point where the federal funds rate is not increased at all after the next FOMC meeting? Don't you think? So here's the headline from the Daily Hodl. Macro guru Raoul Paul unveils 2023 Bitcoin and Ethereum forecast, says positive year ahead. Real Vision CEO Raoul Paul says he believes that 2023 is going to be a positive year for risk assets and cryptocurrencies. In a new interview on the Overpriced JPEGs YouTube channel, the macro guru says he believes Bitcoin and Ethereum will rise in 2023, albeit with some chop and unpredictability due to policy changes from the Federal Reserve. Paul also looks at how market cycles of the past reacted to signals from the Fed. And so this is what I found to be the most interesting. Check this out. This is a quote from Raoul Paul. This is how I'm framing it this time around. So 2018 was the last time the Federal Reserve stopped raising rates. They didn't cut until I think it was August 2019. So what happened was the moment the Fed went on hold, the markets went on an upside rampage. They were down kind of 30%, and then it recovered. So not wildly dissimilar to now. If I look out over the next year, well, the S&P did about 10%, NASDAQ did about 14%, tech stocks like ARK did about 18%, so that was good. Bitcoin did a 100%, and that's after it had gone up 400%. So I think it's going to be a positive year, but that kind of choppy year where one minute you think, oh my God, it's going straight to the high, then it's like, oh my God, it's gone back down, we're all going to die, and then it stabilizes. I think we'll look back and go, okay, we survived, and we actually made some money. So I kind of like the way that he characterized it, but that characterizes this tipsy-topsy, like back and forth teeter-tottering motion that I've described at least a handful of times over the years, because that's what it seems like to people that are new to crypto, I think. And before I researched anything, I was like, it goes back and forth, and I said there must be a reason that the market persists has been moving to the upside. But I was thinking, my earliest of days, with how volatile this is. Doesn't it feel like at any moment this could all just fall off a cliff? And it's easy to have that perspective, and it's actually reasonable to ask the question when you jump into crypto, but it's easy to wonder that when you don't know anything about crypto. But then once you start to jump in, you research more and you learn about why these attributes of these cryptocurrencies are valuable in a general sense, and you understand that business models can exist that otherwise are impossible that actually help the world, then you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, this is never going to go away. But even then, when you get the teeter-tottering back and forth, so volatile, all these motions, it's easy to understand why people lose their ever-loving minds and emotionally respond, because we're all humans. Now, I have since become an XRP bot, so I guess I'm no longer human. Beep, boop, beep. So I don't have emotions because emotions are stupid. So, again, I just don't have them. But they're not useful markets. Not useful markets anyway. And so I get it, but that's why it can feel at any moment like it's all just going to crumble and go to zero. But if you look at data showing how humans normally behave, you can quickly realize that's just not the case. Unless there's some sort of completely different circumstance, like there's a hole in code for a specific cryptocurrency that's taken advantage of, then maybe that particular cryptocurrency is going to have an extra bad day and perhaps it goes to zero and dies, maybe. But even then, when you get to, if it's something that can be patched, even that's not necessarily a guarantee. It'll reduce confidence in whatever that cryptocurrency may be. But you get the point, right? It's like none of it means anything. And so, in terms of what we can expect this year, overall trend up, but there could be, relatively speaking, longer periods of times. Just considering that I'm talking within a 12-month window here, where it feels like everything's going to hell, but still trending. So by the time the year's over, you're saying, "Oh, look, we made a little money," and that's fine. And that's why, for me, my position is I just do nothing. I mean, other than purchase. After I purchase, I do nothing. So if I'm enticed to purchase, that's one thing. But I'm at a point where, honestly, like, my bags were packed in, like, when was that? I'm getting the years all blended together now. Like a year and a half ago. I don't know. I can't remember what it was. But then crypto prices, we didn't have the crazy euphoric alt season, and XRP being attacked by the SEC didn't hit a new all-time high. So I wasn't going to sell for $2. So I just kind of decided to sit tight, even though I was happy with how much I held. But then, given the chance to buy even lower, I did. And so when we finally do have another blow-off type of top and altcoins go ridiculously crazy, I'm just that much better positioned. So I'm not crying over it. Yeah, it requires more patience of me, but I'm an adult man. Like, I can handle the patience. It's the children that I want my no moon, no. Okay, calm down. That's not how this works. And it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. But all of this is actually going to come to fruition. I firmly believe. Again, the idea of XRP hitting a new all-time high, the idea of it, to me, again, fine, technically nothing's 100%, but man, you tell me why that wouldn't happen. The whole market, it moves in tandem. So even if you set aside utility, like, I think it happens even regardless of the positive fundamentals, but then you factor in the positive fundamentals, and at some point in the future, that's going to matter too. I don't know how long it all takes. I don't pretend to, and I'm not going to make an actual price prediction. I'm just telling you the way that I'm leaning here, and strongly leaning. But I don't see how at some unknown point in the future it doesn't happen. The idea of that never happening is ridiculous to me. It really does feel that way. Now, Charlie Munger, he don't think that's ridiculous, though. Here's a beautiful Charlie Munger on your screen right here, just turned 99 years old, telling us young whippersnappers out here that our magic internet money ain't worth nothing, and we should get rid of it. Look at this headline from the Daily Huddle. Oh, God, this is fun. Billionaire and Bitcoin cynic Charlie Munger renews his criticism of crypto, calls for U.S. ban. Folks, that's right. He wants you to have less freedom to participate with others in open markets. He wants you listening to not have the freedom to buy and sell your magic internet money. That's piece reads as follows. Oh my God. Well-known crypto skeptic, and billionaire Charlie Munger is renewing his criticism of digital assets, calling for U.S. regulators to ban crypto. By the way, it's pause to note, if he weren't so close-minded, and had he jumped into crypto 14 years ago, he wouldn't be worth $2.3 billion. I don't know what he'd be worth at this point, but he could be the wealthiest man on the damn planet, but it's all going to zero, he says. And there's no more opportunity. There's no more opportunity, folks. Take your ball and go home. Piece continues. In a new opinion piece published by the Wall Street Journal, the legendary investor says that crypto assets are neither commodities, securities, or currencies, but rather gambling contracts that heavily favor the house. There you go. Now, the only thing I can agree on there is that they're not securities. Not by the nature of them existing. Anything can be packaged as a security, but I doubt that he even understands that. I just happen to disagree because he actually fumbled into some actual truth there. But in terms of a cryptocurrency being a currency, like actually performing as a currency, well, some do, including XRP. And, it's not like that's what most people are using XRP for, but that doesn't matter. People use XRP as money today, quite literally. Some of them use it by actually making transactions using the XRP blockchain. And some people use it with, in facilitation with a third party. They have something that is, tantamount to a credit card or a debit card. And you can use that and it spins your actual XRP. And there's a middleman that makes the conversions possible in case you go to the recipient. Presumably, they're not going to want a cryptocurrency. But the point is that it all works out. So there are people that are actually using it as a currency. So he's flat out wrong, just in a factual sense. And then in terms of, is it a commodity? It's funny. I saw him say, cryptocurrencies aren't commodities. And look, I'm actually open-minded in terms of what the designation should be for cryptocurrencies because I just want a damn path forward. I'll try to not be that nitpicky on it. But when it comes to the idea of cryptocurrencies being commodities, It's not like a wacky idea. Do you guys remember this? I covered this about a week and a half ago. It's from January 21st. There's an article titled Ripple CTO weighs in on upcoming ruling in SEC lawsuit. It says XRP fits the definition of a commodity. And I just want to share a quote with you. I don't want to go through this whole article, but I covered this at the time. And here's a quote from David Schwartz, co-creator of the XRP ledger and XRP. He said, XRP is a raw good that trades in commerce, and one XRP is treated as equivalent to every other XRP. That's pretty much the definition of a commodity. No part of XRP's value comes from anyone else's legal obligations to XRP holders. End quote. So Charlie Munger, you're missing the mark here. But again, he also I don't know why it's so hard for some people to get this. There are attributes of a thing that exists that people want, and they do not want that thing to go away because to them it is valuable. That's why I prefer to just stay away from this argument of intrinsic value. I'm willing to discuss it, but is it valuable to humans? That's what actually matters. The answer is yes. Unquestionably yes. So there's that, and then again, like I keep saying, can you have valuable business models that otherwise couldn't exist thanks to this technology? The answer is also yes there. If you can that's not hard to understand. I know that you all listening to this understand those things. These people do not get it, or at least claim to not get it. How is that possible? I don't know if they just haven't put in the proper efforts to research this and understand, but it has to come a point where so much time passes and a market or adoption around a certain technology keeps increasing to such a degree. At this point, again, 14 years for crypto in general. There has to reach a point where you look inward and you're like, huh, I must have gotten something wrong here. What am I analyzing incorrectly? And that's what a reasonable human is. There's so many people that have done that over the years. And I applaud them for that. That's what they should do, you know. And look, I behave the same way in my life. You know, it's not that I ever thought that Bitcoin was going to go to zero. I've never had that position, but I came in as a skeptic, as I do with pretty much anything in life. I'm a skeptic of pretty much anything. I think it's a pretty reasonable starting point. Not that you are saying people are lying or wrong, but you come in with a skeptical point of view. You want to challenge ideas to find out if they make sense. So that's where I'm always coming from. And so I came in and I was throwing everything at Bitcoin, throwing every terrible concept at XRP, including the kitchen sink. And on XRP, I couldn't break it. And then with Bitcoin, I thought, well, maybe I can break it, but I'm not confident necessarily. I mean, it's going to be the case that standards matter so much to people that Bitcoin, just because of the fact that it was the first crypto on the planet, is just going to continue to exist. And maybe that is the case because standards matter. Once something's in place, you got first mover advantage. It actually is kind of hard to move it. So maybe it does stay as a store of value forever, but that was still a hard pill for me to swallow if it doesn't do anything else. And so as time had passed, I thought, well, even if it doesn't make sense to me, if the world disagrees, if I'm in the minority and everybody else says, no, we value it regardless, at some point I'd still have to be like, eh. Now, I never had to come to a firm conclusion on that because I ultimately recognized that, you know, any layer 1 technology that's sufficiently valuable, it looks to me like you're just going to have a layer 2 technology to scale it. So I think that problem ends up being a big nothing in the end, which is something that I didn't understand 5 years ago. I didn't even understand that or have that position quite as clearly if you go back like, you know, even a year ago. But it just, as time has passed and I've seen what's been developing around Bitcoin and the broader crypto space, it increasingly looks like that. And David Schwartz seems to have as I've shared his opinion on this channel, he seems to have the same perspective. And so once I saw that he was thinking the same thing, I was like, oh, it just kind of reinforced the concept that I was leaning towards at that point, which is that, you know, layer 2 is going to fix anything that doesn't work. But if you're going to have the rally, if that first thing is initially valuable, and then we're in this state where, you know, the technology is still evolving. Now, granted, if you create a terrible layer 1, like 3 decades from now, probably people aren't going to feel like patching it. But if you created it 14 years ago and it's been adopted, since it's adopted, people go and patch it. People are going to use layer 2 technology. So you can get away with that, but you can't get away with creating inferior technology if it were like a few decades from now. You know, so that's the way that I'm looking at it. But anyway, a piece continues here. The Berkshire Hathaway executive goes on to call for U.S. lawmakers to regulate digital assets as gambling. And he said, quote, "A cryptocurrency is not a currency, not a commodity, and not a security. Instead, it's a gambling contract with a nearly 100% edge for the house, entered into a country where gambling contracts are traditionally regulated only by states that compete in laxity," end quote. Okay, so who's the house in this scenario? And it's just a decentralized, like cryptocurrencies, they're just in general decentralized and they're dispersed throughout the world. What's the house? If it's decentralized and there's no controlling authority, what is the house? Does he understand that the nature? I know, but does he not? He just has the strong opinions. So this is the other thing. Like, if you don't get something, then just don't have a strong opinion about it. You can just start speaking, hedge your comments because you should. If you don't have a ton of knowledge and you're not really certain, just say, I'm wondering if this might be a problem, or I suppose this might be true. That would be more reasonable. That's what people do when they're trying to get to the bottom of things in earnest fashion. What he's doing here is, I don't like the thing, so I'm going to scream it down. Oh, okay. Old man yells at clouds or sky or whatever it was from The Simpsons. You know what I'm talking about? That's what this is. And then he says, obviously, this is a quote, obviously the U.S. should now enact a new federal law that prevents this from happening, end quote. Here's another one. A quote, the Communist government of China recently banned cryptocurrencies because it wisely concluded that they would provide more harm than benefit. What should the U.S. do after a ban of cryptocurrencies is in place? Well, one more action might make sense. Thank the Chinese Communist leader for his splendid example of uncommon sense, end quote. That's all you need to know about Charlie Munger, everybody. Oh, he's loving the Chinese Communist Party over there. He's loving them. I just love it. That tasty. No. My gosh. It's just completely absurd. But again, he's a multi-billionaire and he's famous in the world of finance. So he says something about crypto, of which he just has this emotional response rather than a sort of logical and knowledgeable response, and then it just gets covered, and now here I'm talking about it on the Moon Family Sedan channel. That's how it works. Just like when every month there's a billion XRP released from escrow, I'm talking about that too, because that's a fun story, right? I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.